Hi, Jessica Nadav bringing you this week's Torah for Parashot Matot Maseh. So, as usual, I'd like to dedicate this Torah for the refuah shlema of my mother, Simcha Violeta Bat Miriam, my brother-in-law, Eric Yitzchak Ben Miriam, my mother-in-law, Chava Freidel Bat Etita Malka, Harav Shimon Ben Sarah, and Shemuel Yosef Ben Rachel, and in the merit, of course, of all our soldiers, all our chayalim and chayalot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should keep them safe and sound and protect them all. So this week again we're going to read a double portion, a Matot Maseh, which are the two last portions, the last two parashiot in the book of Bamidbar. And next week we're going to begin the final book of the Torah, the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy. Now in these two parashiot, Bnei Israel receive new mitzvot, new commandments, as they prepare to enter into the land of Israel. The second of the last two parashiot also describes the 42 stops that Bnei Israel make during the journey in the wilderness. I'm sure my husband would love to give you a little talk about the relevance and the importance of the number 42 in Judaism, in the Jewish world. Now, our sages tell us that there's a reason that the Torah highlights the stops along the journey. We cannot move forward unless we learn the lessons of the past. By referring to the events that have happened, that have transpired over the 40 years of the sojournings in the wilderness, we're not only reviewing the actual physical travel of the Jewish people, of this fledgling nation, really, in physical terms, but we're also reviewing what we learned at every stop along the way and how we matured through our experiences. We must not forget that the journey is just as important as the destination. Now, in synagogue on Shabbat, as the reader gets to the end of the two portions, the weekly reading, because he'll be finishing a whole Torah book, the community will say the words Chazak, Chazak v'nitchazek if you're Ashkenazi, or Chizku v'yames levavchem kol hamyachanim l'Hashem, in a Sephardi synagogue. Either version mentions the word Chazak or Chizku, meaning strength. The word Chazak has a dual meaning. In Torah Shebiktav, in the written Torah, it is usually referencing a transition. In this particular case, Moshe's leadership to Yehoshua, the passing of the leadership from one to another. However, in Torah Shebiktav, in the oral Torah, it denotes consistency. Okay, Chezkat's Gimel Shana. We say after someone has a chazakah, has an obligation or a chazakah, a strength, to do something after they've done it 3 times. In other words, once they've shown some consistency or constancy in doing something, they then have an obligation to continue to do that. Consistency or constancy is important in our lives as Jews. Now, Judaism recognizes that as humans we go through life as a series of journeys. Ever since the original command of Lech Lecha, of go for yourself, which was given to Abraham Avinu back in Bereshit, in the book of Genesis, in the parasha called Lech Lecha, we are in a constant state of movement. Even Jewish law is called halacha, coming from the verb lalechet, to walk. Being Jewish is to be in constant state of flux, of movement, of journey, of transition. Constant motion can be destabilizing, however, and make a person feel insecure, unsure, not stable. But we use the consistency and stability of Torah and our Judaism to provide the framework to steady us. There is a time to encamp, take stock, and then keep moving. The final book of the Torah, which we'll start next week, please God, comprises our ultimate leader, Moshe Rabbeinu, speaking to us and providing us with the stability that we need in future generations to ground us during our constant movement. Now, in the midst of the 3 weeks, a sorrowful time for the Jewish people, leading to the fast of Tisha B'Av, we feel even more fragile and more uncomfortable, let's say, especially in the last 9 days of those 3 weeks leading up to Tisha B'Av itself. We mourn the destruction of the temple and Jerusalem, our home, and stability, our destination. But let's not lose sight of the fact that the journey and how we journey home is also vital. Shabbat Shalom.